The search box that rewired the world, Google's origin, rise, and what it became. By the end of this story, you'll know the 90-second driveway moment that pushed a grad school project out of a garage and onto the world's homepage, and why that tiny shove, paired with one radical revenue idea, turned Google from a clean search box into the operating system of modern life. Stanford sparks and a name that stuck. Two brainy grad students meet at Stanford in the mid-90s. Larry Page is touring the campus. Sergey Brin is assigned to show him around. They debate, they disagree, and somehow they click. What they share is an obsession. If the web is a giant library with no librarian, could you rank pages by how many other important pages point to them? That math becomes PageRank, first running under the delightfully weird name BackRub. It's fast, it's relevant, and most importantly, it feels fair. You type, it answers, no drama. A seed check arrives, handwritten, made out to a company that technically doesn't exist yet. A friend's garage in Menlo Park becomes HQ. The hardware is bargain bin, the traffic climbs anyway, and the site's look is the anti-portal. No news tickers, no kaleidoscope of buttons, just a logo and a box daring you to ask anything. Personally, I think that restraint is the real invention. Google didn't invent curiosity, it just stopped getting in its way. The money problem, solved quietly. Great relevance is not a business model. The quiet breakthrough comes when Google adds tiny, text-only ads matched to what you're searching for, and later to what pages talk about across the web. No dancing banners, just intent-based messages people don't hate. Advertisers only pay when someone clicks. Publishers can earn by hosting context-aware ads. It's as if the cash register finally learned to listen. The flywheel spins. Better search brings more users attract more advertisers fund index growth, which makes search better again. That loop becomes the engine. Meanwhile, the product pace borders on cocky. Email that launches on April 1st with a storage number so wild people assume it's a prank. Maps that make directions feel like a conversation. A video-sharing upstart gets folded into the family, and suddenly, search includes the world's moving pictures. And in a move that looks small but ages like a moonshot, Google buys a tiny mobile software outfit and backs an open ecosystem for smartphones. When the flood of devices hits, the company isn't just ready. It's the tide. The IPO that didn't act like one. When Wall Street expected a glitzy roadshow, Google used a Dutch auction. When investors expected one share, one vote, the founders kept control with dual-class stock. The message under the mechanics, we'll take your money, but not your steering wheel. The market blinks, then keeps buying. And with fresh capital, Google leans into its habit. Launch simple, iterate relentlessly, scale like crazy, and browsers, phones, and the power of default. There's a strategic spine running through Google's rise. Own the touch points where people access the web. A lightning-quick browser shows up, open-sourced at the core, updated so often it feels alive. On the other front, the mobile OS that started as a bet becomes the most common way billions touch the internet. Pair a fast browser with a popular phone platform and you don't just serve the web. You help define the speed limit. Developers follow the gravity, so do ads, so do users. Here's my read. Google's genius isn't only algorithms. It's removing friction at the places where time is wasted. Waiting for pages, hunting for apps, dealing with clunky logins, losing files. Every minute saved becomes loyalty the company never has to ask for. The alphabet move. As side projects turn into serious businesses, maps, mail, mobile, videos, cloud, the company does something unusual for a tech giant at full sprint. It steps back. It creates a parent company, Alphabet, so the core Google can stay tight around search, ads, Android, Chrome, and the everyday apps, while more experimental bets, self-driving, life sciences, far-out R&D, can be housed with room to breathe. Think of it as tidying the workbench so the main tools are always within reach. Cloud and the enterprise turn. Google's cloud story starts humbly. Let developers run apps on the same kind of infrastructure powering search and Gmail. Then it stacks on storage, big data analytics, serverless, and container orchestration that becomes an industry standard. The sales motion matures, partnerships expand, and a consumer DNA learns to speak enterprise. It's not overnight. It's a decade of shipping picks and shovels for anyone building on the internet. The AI inflection and why it fits. Long before AI became the headline, Google's labs kept dropping the brushes everyone else would paint with. Breakthroughs in how machines understand language and patterns. Then the company fuses its research muscle with product muscle and introduces a family of multimodal models under a name you now hear everywhere. Suddenly, search, workspace, cloud, and even the phone in your pocket feel like they've grown a second brain. To me, this is the most Google turn of all. Take hard science, wrap it in a friendly interface, and ship it in places regular folks actually live. Dominance invites copycats and courtrooms. Rivals push alternative defaults. Regulators question contracts and market power. Google adapts. Sometimes it rethinks deals. Sometimes it re-architects products. The constant is the same promise from the garage days. Fast, relevant answers with as little friction as possible. If it keeps that promise better than anyone else, the home screen real estate takes care of itself. Two undertold moments. First, the early decision to keep the homepage almost comically minimal wasn't design snobbery. It was a speed play. Clean pages load faster. Faster answers teach users to trust you. Second, the phone strategy wasn't about winning one model of handset. It was about making sure the web itself had a healthy, open home on mobile. Those two calls let Google ride every platform shift without begging for permission. Where it landed, and what's next. Today, Google isn't just a search engine. It's a stack. Discovery, communication, video, maps, cloud, commerce, and now everyday AI. The brand promise is consistent. Type, speak, or snap, and we'll help you find, make, or finish. If the next decade is about assistants that handle more chores on your behalf, Google's advantage is obvious. It already sits at the crossroads of what you need and what you meant. Before we close, a quick favor. If this breakdown gave you a clearer story of how Google actually became Google, drop a like so YouTube knows to recommend more deep dives like this. Tell me in the comments which decision mattered most, the tiny text ads, the Android bet, the Chrome Sprint, or the Alphabet cleanup, and I'll feature the sharpest takes in the next episode. If you want extras, behind-the-scenes notes, and extended comparisons to Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon, tap Join to support the channel. And if this helped your understanding, a super thanks keeps the long-form stories coming.